So this is day 2, teacher coaching framework or process for achieving a transformation to someone who knows nothing about what you do. So this is actually pretty exciting because I've been doing this for about a year now. This month will be a year when in April I opened up my school. I started doing research on online businesses after my surgery in November of 2023. So I went through and I delved deep into, I did a few things. I learned about e-commerce, I learned about print on demand, and then one day on TikTok, I ran into this guy named Mike Gowans, and he has Make Once. And he explained, use your skill set, and if you don't have a skill set, you can just teach people how to set up their schools with their skill set, and you make it once and then you sell it many times. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But the moment I saw the school platform and the one time he explained that, I was like, this is awesome, right? If you're passionate about crocheting and you're really good at it and you already make a bunch of pieces, just turn the camera on and start showing people what you do and guide them through. And then you can make a course, right? You can do it for painting. You could do it for sales. You could do it for transformational stuff, mindset stuff. So it really blew my mind. And so when I saw this on school, I was like, this is amazing. I was like, you can teach anything. You can teach anything, or you can just create a community on any topic. You can create monthly reoccurring income, and you can also funnel, which I was learning a little bit about email marketing. So I was like, so the complexity of the funnel, you don't have to deal with creating the funnel to bring people over, because school is a funnel in its way. You can have a free community where you post all the things that you create, all the value, all the tutorials, all that good stuff. And then when they're ready to work closer one-on-one with you, or closer with you to more lives in your community, you funnel them into a paid community. So it just blew my mind. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do school. I set up my framework, and now I'm doing a beta. I did a beta launch, and I have some clients. I sat here and I took the whiteboard and I put it up here, and I talked to my wife about it because she had some questions. Because there's a lot of, she didn't know what I did. She really didn't. She just thought, and it was funny when I started talking about it, she asked a little deeper. And so it's kind of embarrassing because she asked, so after I explained to her, I was like, so right now what I'm teaching people in the beta, I was like, I'm helping them clarify their niche. That way they can also kind of figure out who their avatar is, so they can focus on one problem that they're helping people get through, and that their niche aligns with their journey, so it can have a lot of impact. It builds up with the content. And so my wife was like, so you help people figure out their niche? And I was like, yes and no. I was like, there's people that specialize in helping people figure out their niche. I was like, but my framework is actually bigger than that, because what I do is that in phase 1, I help you clarify your niche, find your avatar, and then we go into what your hero journey is. And we also, while we're doing these 3 things, we're seeing where your lived experience and your experience in your coaching intersects with your niche. So those intersecting points are really gold, in the sense that you know who you're going to be talking to, what they're feeling, what their fears are, what their doubts are, what's been holding them back from doing it. And then you also know what impulsed you to do it. What were the things that motivated you to start taking action? So that's phase 1. And I help people that are coaching, that have been coaching, that are entrepreneurs, that want to create an online business and start making money with their skill set, with their talent, with their passion. And so you're sitting on a lot of ideas, or you've been sitting on a lot of coaching material because you've been coaching out in the world, but you don't know how to transition it online. So we go through phase 1 to make sure everything is coherent. Some people have everything kind of already. They know who their niche is. They know who they've been servicing. Other people are like, well, yeah, I have all this information, but who am I going to help with it, right? So then this section would help them with that. And then the second part of my framework is called the Irresistible Offer. And it's where we go into, what do you offer as a coach? And so what makes you unique So we're trying to find your positioning, right? So we go through a series of questions where we figure out what makes you unique, what makes you stand out, what do people like about you that makes your coaching different. So we're trying to figure out what makes you unique. We're positioning you in a unique way. Then I want to know how you help people, right? And what's that transformation? So this person starts off in point A, right? And then you're going to walk them over to point B, and then you're going to break that process down from 3 to 5 steps. And you're going to say, well, this person wants to know how to fry an egg. And so point A is not knowing how to fry an egg, and point B is knowing how to fry an egg and having a fried egg, right? So you're going to break step A down. You're going to be like, well, you're going to collect all your ingredients, which is a pan, oil, egg, salt, and spatula. Then you're going to go into the second part. You're going to be like, well, we're going to put the pan on the stove. Turn the switch. Right? Add some oil. Step 3, we're just going to let it heat. Step 4, we're going to crack the egg and put it into the frying pan, right? And then we're going to flip it, if you want to flip it, or we're going to just let it heat. And then step 5, which is point B, we're going to put the fried egg on the plate. So this is how we're going to break down your framework. We're going to go from point A to point B, and then every step that you have from 3 to 5, you're going to figure out how you build up each step. So you're going to break it down, right? So how we broke down that first one was, okay, we're going to get the list of ingredients. You're going to need a pan, oil, egg, salt, spatula, right? These are the vital things. And right now we just noticed we needed a plate too. So we need a plate to put it on. So you're going to break down and you're going to see how to simplify these steps, because at the end of the day, you want to make this as simple and easy and actionable versus having it super fluffy, because we all know what that's like, right? You get a coach that's so storytelling is vital. It's super important, right? It's what calls people in. We have to learn the art of it. So, but I've noticed that a lot of the time when we go into these coaching areas, there's people that are amazing storytellers, but they haven't put the work in to their framework. So, that's where we get a lot of disconnect, and a lot of people are like, well, people are cheating people. Well, it feels that way, yeah, because this person is a very good storyteller. They get you in, you crossed over, you bought. But when it comes to their framework, you're like, this is chaotic. It's a mess. Like, what am I supposed to do? And how do I know I've met the goal that I'm supposed to meet? What steps am I supposed to take? And even if they have something, or they bring you in and it's really superficial. It's like, well, just open the community, start posting, and start funneling people over. And that's a formula for disaster. And even Alex Hormozi posted on that recently, is the fact that there's no point in you hyping people up to come to something that doesn't have any value. And so that's something that I've learned over this process. Not that I was doing it, it's just I didn't know what constituted value. And yeah, there's people that can go with a very light framework and get things done, right? Because they have some experience in sales, or they have some experience in storytelling, and those are the people that just start going in, they start making a killing, but it's their framework and their material isn't strong enough to maintain longevity and to maintain results, to maintain longevity, right? So that's why it's important for you to have framework and also learn to be a storyteller and learn everything else attached to it. So irresistible offer, whether you want to launch beta, which that means you're trying to put your framework together with people's input as they go through the program. And this is usually for people that it's the first time doing a framework, or that are looking to get testimonials and case studies, because you can offer it at a discounted rate, or you can offer it in exchange for, right? So discounted rate with testimonial or case study, or in exchange of. Say like, okay, well, I have this beta program. I know that you need to get from point A to point B, and I can do that for you. All I'm asking is that you do it for a testimonial or a case study for me, where you allow me to document it, and then at the end of the process, you can give an honest review, telling me, how you felt the process went and how it's helped you, right? So that's how you handle the beta offer. Obviously, if you've already been coaching for a while and you have clients and you know what's going on, then it would just be a matter of structuring it in a way we can get your people from point A to point B and putting it into school in a way that they can navigate it, and seeing what program fits you the best, like how much time you're dedicating into your lives in your community, or how much time, what portion of your program is static, what portion of it are you going to push to be one-on-one coaching. So that then after that we go into visibility, which is talking about content and content strategy, and basically creating your content funnel. And so this is where we take people through awareness, nurturing, and conversion. And you're part of this community, so you probably know about that. And so the funny thing about it is that my first two phases I have down on pat. I have those down on pat. But when it comes to content, I'm here today. So I'm learning a lot from these exercises, and I'm in it 120%, so I can go ahead and start relating what I'm learning over. I have the base part, which is like, you do have to take your customers through a journey of awareness, and you do want them to, you want to have enough content that when they go through this journey of awareness and nurture and conversion, they get to know you, they build trust, and you're using pillars of content, which is, educational content, which is also where you're fighting objections. So it depends on your niche, but you have a series of pillars that your content is heavy on those type of things. So I have all that base from my previous course that I created and from previous content that I have done, but I'm really working on making my framework build on itself. Build on itself. So when they get here, they can use everything they've learned from the clarity of the niche, from the clarity of what makes, what positions you differently, right? So you're going to be clear because you know your niche, you know who you're talking to, you know the pain points related to them. All this is together in one place. You know what sets you aside, what makes you different, what positions you differently, where you stand, what you're for and what you're against. So all this ties into when you hit your content area, because then you're creating content with your goal is to let them know that they have a problem, let them know how you can fix the problem in your unique way, and that you understand them because you've been there, because you felt it. And so, so that's my framework. At that point, after content creation, we go into sales. And so sales is explaining how to do like a 1 call or a 2 call close. It's explaining how you're going to, in your content, so because this builds, in your content, you're going to break a lot of the objections, right? A lot of the doubts that people have in your content. That's kind of the awesome thing about the internet. So people by the time they get to it, they really want more. They want more of you. They want more of your program. They want to be part of your vision, right? So when it comes to sales, you have to, especially with coaching, you're not selling anymore. You're really diagnosing. You're figuring out, and that's what's going to set you apart, right? And I saw this really cool lady. Her name is Margarita. She's I think she's Colombian, but she's lived in Nicaragua. She's a Spanish-speaking coach. So we're not selling. We're trying to see what the person's pain point is and what the solution is and how we can help them go through that. And so with that first sales call, you're really just saying like what's going on, what's wrong with this vehicle. And then you're bringing a solution to the first part of that problem, right? So in this case, let's say it's niche clarity. Then you do a niche clarity exercise with them and you figure out how to help them and get them the answer to that solution, right? It's not everything, because after niche clarity, you need to go to the next part, right? For example, another good thing is like people that are helping people with diets and stuff like that. They're like, well, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong, right? And one of the elements that people do is that, okay, well, let's break down, how are you sleeping? Are you eating protein? Like, what are you eating on every day? So we're going to work on you logging that for a week, and then we'll come back and we'll see if you've added, sleep, if you've added protein, are you feeling better? So you are going to give them an actionable step and an actionable solution in that first call. If it's a one call, then obviously you bring them in and then you're like, okay, so what package do you want? So in the sales department, we're going to go into diagnosing and helping people through their problem. That's really what you need to do in your calls. And then the psychology of packaging, right, when it goes to closing. So instead of like being afraid of closing, you're helping them. They're going to get help, and they're going to progress, and you're going to get them from point A to point B. So it's just a matter of seeing what option they want to take. So it's having multiple options, and when you go to it, you're like, do you want option A or do you want option B? And then they think of it, they're like, okay, well, option, and then you stay quiet, obviously. So that's actually one of the, so in sales, we're going to talk about, closing techniques and the psychology of pricing and packaging, and also not selling, is being of service. And going back to Margarita, she did the closing section too, but she also talks about, like, if you're selling pots and pans, don't make it your mission to sell the most expensive package. Listen to the customer. If you're selling pots and pans and your customer is single and they only cook smaller portions, well, then sell them the frying pan and the pot, right? Because ultimately that customer is going to be happy. It's going to be useful for them. They're not going to be able to want to put, like, they might live in an apartment that doesn't have space because they're single, right? To put like all those pots and pans in there, if they're not asking for that, why sell them that? And also that gives the longevity of the customer, because that customer maybe eventually might move in with roommates or might get married, and they might need more pots and pans, right? So then you have an option that, oh, this person wasn't there to con me or to take advantage of me or to sell me the most expensive thing. Hey, Eli, I need more pans now. I moved into a bigger household. We have more people, so what do you recommend? So that allows that person too. So in sales, it's also not only just about closing the sales, it's about knowing and identifying what part of your product people need, and it's going to help them the most, because they'll be happier in the end. You'll get better reviews, better testimonials, and you'll have longevity, because this person's going to be growing just like we've been growing, right? Like you've been growing in your business. So there's going to be a moment where you might have an offer down the line for people that are past this point and that need something a little bit more, and they're part of your community. They've had a good experience with you. They're more likely to buy again. And reoccurring customers, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head right now, but especially with coaching and guiding and online businesses, you have to take care of your customer that's already bought. You can't just one and done and forget them, because the odds of them buying again are higher. So, but once you have your content funnel, and once you're getting your calls in, and once you're taking care of your clients and your community and your coaching people, your job is to nurture also your community that you have active and your clients that have bought from you in the past. So it's important not to forget them. And you're also reaching out in content to bring new people and bring awareness. So it has like two phases of that cycle. So that's all the stuff that part 3 that you learn in part 3 of sales. Actually part 4, my bad. So niche is 1, irresistible offer is 2, 3 is content, and part 4 is sales. And then part 5 is just rinse, repeat, and scale. So once you hit your 10K months and you're really good at maintaining the balance of servicing your customers, of onboarding new customers, and of maintaining a good communication with past customers, then at that point you rinse and repeat and you scale, right? And that could be done in different ways, whether it's outsourcing some of your things, right? Maybe at this point you can't take any more sales calls, but then you get a team of virtual assistants that'll help you scale it up. So they're qualifying, making sure that they understand how they can help the person. And then that person goes on to one-on-one coaching with you or a different package for you, right? So there's a lot of room and ways to grow. Maybe it's growing your content, right? Just blowing it up in a different way or changing it so you're a little bit more broad and then you can reach more people. So it just depends on where you're at, how you're gonna scale your program depending on the needs and what direction you're going, right? So that's the 5th stage, which is rinse, repeat, and scale. And so that's my framework. And thank you for listening to it. And that's it for